Hello everyone, this is Kat. Welcome back to My Hero Academia Podfics. This will be the continuation of Hidden Messages. This will be Part 17, Chapter 17, entitled The Exercise Continues. Izuku led them out of the court in the opposite direction that he saw Katsuki lead his group. He did the same thing that he had been doing all day and misdirected Ida and Todoroki at every turn. He was able to grab Object 21, the bracelet, and Object 23, the music box. During that time, a few more announcements rang out, announcing that Komori, Hagekure, Kororo, Ojiro, and Kaibara had all been taken out. They started walking toward the other side of the training grounds when they came across another group. It was a relatively small group made up of just Kota, Tokiyami, and Shoji. At first, they just looked at each other, all expecting the other group to attack them. After a moment, it was Tokiyami that finally spoke up. "We just lost a couple members of our group. We really aren't looking for a fight right now." "Why don't we call it a truce, then? We just lost a couple of people not long ago ourselves." Ida spoke for the group, chopping his hands like usual. They all took a moment to look over each other before dropping their defenses. They grouped up, but didn't start walking. Instead, they just discussed what they wanted to go looking for. "I have my object, and Kota has his, but do you have any idea where the camera is? Object 17 or the music box? Object 23? I need the music box for my task." Shoji had started their conversation. "We didn't find the music box where the clues said it would be, but Midori just picked the camera up from the light post," Ida mentioned, and motioned to Izuku's bag. If his friends hadn't seen him grab it, he would have never told them that he had it, but there was nothing he could do about it now. He pulled out the camera and handed it to Tokiyami, who looked at him in surprise. "Well, if no one else has an object that they need to find, I'm still looking for Object 7, the flower. Does anyone know where that is?" Ida asked. After they all shook their heads no, Izuku started to lead them away. "If we don't have anything that they're looking for, or any idea where anything is, we might as well head over to the other side of the training grounds." Everyone shrugged and followed him. Izuku kept his eyes on them, expecting them to attack. He didn't trust them, not completely. That was probably why he didn't notice the group of Class B students until they were attacking them. Hiwaze, Bondo, Fukidashi, and Shishida wasted no time in attacking. At first it looked promising for the Class A students. It was 7 against 4, but then Shota, Hananuki, and Yanagi, and even Shiozaki had shown up. Suddenly it was 7 against 8, and the Class A students had lost their advantage. As the battle went on, more students showed up, drawn to the free-for-all battle. Almost the entirety of Class B was there, as well as everyone in Class A that hadn't been removed yet. It was loosely Class A versus Class B, but some people had teamed up with people from the other class, so the lines were a bit blurred. Izuku made sure it always looked like he was fighting against the people in Class B, but he would throw a paint grenade, or sneak out a shot at anyone whenever people weren't looking. Almost immediately a few people were removed, taken out by a paint grenade that seemed to appear out of nowhere. It was actually Izuku that threw it, but no one could tell. Sato, Fukidashi, and Bondo were all taken out by it, making the people around them even more confused about who threw it. The battle waged on. Not long after the first people were removed, Shiozaki was removed as well, taken out by Mina's bullet. Her success, however, was short-lived, as she was taken out moments later by a bullet shot by Yanagi. Izuku bounded around the fight, actively attacking people in Class B. He was in constant conversation with Katsuki, taking turns to warn each other of upcoming dangers. Izuku tried to warn Kirishima, Kaminari, and Shinso of any attacks that they could see coming, but he didn't have a secret language to effectively communicate with them. Even then, they always seemed to avoid the attacks, so he didn't stop warning them, even though there was no plausible way for them to understand him. The fight remained chaotic, with Tokiyami being removed in an impressive combo move by Shota right before Katsuki removed Shota, and Yanagi with his very own impressive combo move. He used his quirk as a flashbang, and then exploded a paint grenade. It caught the attention of everyone, but unfortunately it only took out the 2 people. Izuku used the distraction as an opportunity to take out Kota. Todoroki took advantage of the distraction as well, finally able to freeze someone without worrying about freezing his allies. He took out Shishida by freezing his feet to the ground and then shooting him. Through the chaos, Izuku noticed that Yaoyorozu, Jiro, Kendo, and Kodai tried to slip away. They only got a few houses down from where the main fight was happening before Hananuki had softened the ground, causing them to sink in. In a quick move, Yaoyorozu had created a paintball gun from her arm and shot Hananuki in the head. They were gone before Izuku could even process how impressive it was. The fight started to come to an end quickly after that. Kaminari stunned Iwaze with his quirk and then shot him, followed by Rin sneaking in a few good shots at Shoji, taking him out. Tsutonori had taken out Sero with a sneaky paint grenade and then was immediately taken out by Kirishima. He knocked her out with one hardened punch. Kirishima should have been taken out by the same paint grenade that took out Sero, but he hardened right before it went off. There was no way that Kirishima saw the grenade, but the only other explanation was that he somehow understood Izuku's warning, which was even less plausible. The fight continued, but with so few people left, it was obvious that it was about to be over. The only person that there was that wasn't someone that Izuku was working with, or pretending to work with, was Rin. Shinzo had picked a few fake fights against Kirishima and Kaminari and Bakugo. They were fighting Ida and Todoroki. Izuku was fighting Rin. The fight had been taking place in the middle of the street, but as an attack after attack had decimated the road, they moved closer to the buildings. Izuku didn't mean to kick Rin as hard as he did, but he was distracted trying to figure out how to end the fight. Rin flew back, going straight through a few walls. It would have been fine, except that the walls were load-bearing. The building creaked and groaned for a moment, before collapsing, falling toward them. Izuku worried about Rin for a moment, but he caught a glimpse of a few drones that were protecting him, and he started worrying about him and his friends instead. Rin was probably badly bruised, but Izuku had held back enough to make sure that he wouldn't be too hurt badly. He just so happened to hit a weak point in that building. There was chaos for a moment, with everyone running in different directions. Izuku thought that Katsuki was nowhere near him, but when the building finally fell, he found himself stuck under the rubble, with Katsuki on top of him, their bodies pressed together. They were face to face, but they looked around their small space, not at each other. "Kachan, how did you get here?" "I had to fucking tackle you, you idiot. That damn building was about to kill you." Katsuki growled in annoyance and tried to get up, only to find that he couldn't. "Fuck, we're stuck here." Izuku looked around and tried to see if he could move any of the rubble, but he was unsuccessful. "Dang it, I can't get any leverage on anything. We really are stuck." "No shit, I already said that." Izuku could tell that Katsuki was getting angry. "Kachan, I was just double-checking. No reason to get angry." "I have every damn reason to get angry. We're trapped under a damn building." It was obvious that Katsuki was trying to avoid exploding something. Izuku thought that their relationship was good, but he couldn't keep the insecurities away. "Sorry, Kachan. I know that you probably hate being stuck here with me." "What?" Katsuki looked at Izuku in the eye for a moment before looking anywhere else. "No, that's not it." Katsuki sighed. "If I had to be stuck here with anyone, I'm glad it's you. It's just, I fucking hate small spaces." Katsuki looked down at Izuku's chest. "I can't use my quirk. It's too dangerous. I could kill us both." Izuku wasn't surprised at the revelation, but he was surprised that Katsuki actually said it out loud. He had an idea that Katsuki didn't like the small space, and he'd always avoided them, but Katsuki never opens up about stuff like that. "You aren't going to kill either of us. We're going to be fine," Izuku tried to reassure him. "How can you know that, huh? How can you possibly fucking know that?" Katsuki switched to talking out loud, obviously starting to freak out about their predicament. Izuku tried to look Katsuki in the eye, but the explosive boy was looking around frantically, not looking at Izuku at all. "Kachan! Kachan, look at me!" Izuku tried to get his attention, but Katsuki didn't seem to hear him. "Kachan! Katsuki!" Due to the surprise of hearing his name, Katsuki finally locked eyes with Izuku. "I know that we're going to be fine because I trust you. You have better control over your quirk than anyone I've ever met, and I know that you'll do everything you can to not hurt me." Katsuki stared into Izuku's eyes for a long moment before whispering, "I don't want to hurt you." Izuku struggled to bring his hand up, but he cupped Katsuki's face anyway. "I know, Kachan. I know." They stayed like that, unmoving for a while, staring into each other's eyes. They both leaned in, almost imperceptibly. Izuku could feel his heart racing as his breath mingled with Katsuki's. He had been dreaming of being this close to Katsuki for years, and while this wasn't exactly how he had hoped it would happen, he wasn't complaining. Their lips were almost touching when a noise had caused them to both lean back. "Midoriya!" Ida was calling out. "Are you in there?" "Yeah, I'm over here," Izuku called back. The air got colder as ice surrounded them. Izuku could hear rubble bursting apart. From what he could tell, Todoroki had frozen the space around them to protect them, and now Ida was breaking apart the rubble to get to them. It wasn't an ideal strategy, but it was the best that they could do without any other help. "When they break us out of here, you need to disappear," Izuku told Katsuki as soon as he realized what was going on. "What? You don't think we can take him?" Katsuki looked at him almost in confusion. Izuku giggled. "Oh, I know we can take them. I just think that we can do better of a surprise attack after they save us. A big finale in front of the city hall sounds so much better." Izuku grinned at the explosive boy. "When the fuck did you get so damn dramatic, Deku?" Katsuki grinned back. "What do you mean? I've always been like this." "Yeah, you have, nerd. Yes, you have." Katsuki laughed along with Izuku. It only took a few more minutes for Ida and Todoroki to get to them, and when they did, Katsuki blasted himself away. Their saviors looked at Izuku with confusion. "You were trapped with Bakugo?" Ida questioned. "Yeah, it wasn't the best situation," Izuku shrugged. How did neither of you remove the other? Todoroki narrowed his eyes in suspicion. We were pinned down. I couldn't really move, and neither could he. If either of us tried anything, we would have taken each other out, too. We would have both ended up seriously injured. Izuku explained. It wasn't entirely a lie. They couldn't have taken each other out without hurting themselves, too, but the thought had never even crossed their minds. Izuku looked around, realizing that they were missing the last person from their little group. What happened to Shinso? We haven't seen him since the building went down. We figured he went off on his own or something. Unless he ran toward the building, his fight was happening far enough away that he should be fine, Ida explained as the group moved away from the rubble. Oh, well, I guess we have to continue on without him then. Maybe we'll meet up with him later. Izuku shrugged and moved on. Shinso probably just stayed with Kaminari and Kirishima then. After all, Kaminari was his top ally. It wasn't what Izuku had planned to happen, but it would probably be better that way. There wasn't a ton of time left before the poison took out Ida. Izuku might have been able to lie to them successfully so far, but he knew that there was no way he could convince Todoroki that it wasn't Shinso that took him out. They all were there when the poison was found, and they all knew that Shinso had been the one to hold on to it. The three of them continued in the direction that they'd been heading in before the huge fight. Izuku wanted to go and retrieve a few more objects, but he doubted that he would be able to find any more. It was late into the exercise, so most objects were probably already found, and there weren't many people left. From the announcements, he knew that there were only 15 people, and it was also already afternoon. They had no idea how long the teachers would let this go on. Izuku led Ida and Todoroki to a jewelry shop on the corner of Cherry and 10th. He didn't bother to hide this one from them. He knew that at this point they weren't going to let him out of their sight, and he really didn't expect to find anything there. To his surprise, what he was looking for was right there, clearly visible in the window. He broke the window and was reaching for Object 20, the necklace, when a paintball exploded by his hand. He grabbed the necklace and jumped back, searching for where the shot came from. It didn't take long for him to find it. Tsuburaba had come out from around the corner with his gun raised, flanked by Tokage, Kamakiri, and Tetsutetsu. All four of them had their guns out. Tsuburaba and Tetsutetsu were both aiming at Izuku, while Kamakiri was aiming at Todoroki and Tokage at Ida. "Hand over the necklace," Tsuburaba yelled out. "Or what?" Izuku yelled back. He ignored Ida's choked-off noise behind him. He knew that he wasn't acting like his friends would expect him to, but that was kind of the point of everything he'd been doing all day. "We'll shoot you," Tsuburaba called back, almost confused as to why he had to explain that. "Good luck," Izuku called as he nudged Todoroki. Luckily, Todoroki understood what he meant, because a moment later paintballs were flying toward them, just like Izuku had wanted them to, and Todoroki put up an ice wall protecting them. Izuku didn't waste a moment, turning to Todoroki and Ida to strategize in their adjusted Morse code. "Keep their attention forward. Tsuburaba can make shields from the air, so we won't have much luck attacking them head-on. I'm going to sneak behind them and try to take them out with a surprised attack. Try to distract them as much as possible." Todoroki and Ida only had a chance to nod before the ice wall had exploded, and Izuku snuck away. Ice flew everywhere, and the other team was on Ida and Todoroki immediately. Tetsutetsu and Tsuburaba had worked together to defend as Kamakiri and Tokage attacked. It was a good strategy, but they didn't seem to notice that Izuku wasn't in front of them anymore. Ida ran at them constantly, and Todoroki was coming at them with both fire and ice, effectively keeping them distracted. However, neither Todoroki nor Ida could land a hit on the students from Class B. Luckily, that wasn't what they were trying to do. Izuku was able to sneak around a lot easier than he expected to. The Class B students hadn't noticed him, so he had his choice of people to take out first. He decided on Tsuburaba. He was doing the majority of the defending, so taking him out would change the whole fight. Out of the many weapons options that Izuku could use to take out Tsuburaba, he went with a knife. All the other options could be noisy and bring attention to him, and he hoped to sneak up on more than just one. He thought about trying to take them all out at once with a paint grenade, but it was unlikely that it would work, and if it failed, then they would notice him immediately. He grabbed the knife with a single strand of black whip, and then extended that strand towards Tsuburaba. He never would have thought that he could use his quirk like this, but after working with Aizawa, he found that he could control it with more precision than Aizawa's capture weapon. It was difficult, and it took a lot of focus, but it was useful. Moving quickly so as to not be noticed, he brought the knife to Suburaba's throat and slashed it. Just like that, the knife that he used against Uraraka, it was a fake, just leaving behind a line of red paint. "Kosei Tsuburaba has had his throat slashed. He is the 26th student to be removed." The announcement rang over the training grounds, causing Suburaba's teammates to panic. Izuku did his best to catch Todoroki and Ida's attention, trying to get them to attack more aggressively, while the Class B students were distracted. They managed to figure out what Izuku wanted, and all three of them attacked at once. Izuku went for Tokage, as Ida went for Tetsutetsu, and Todoroki went for Kamakiri. Todoroki and Izuku were able to take out their targets easily, with them being distracted, both going for simple bullets. The announcements rang out for Kamakiri and Tokage, but not for Tetsutetsu. Ida was unsuccessful. The bullets he shot at Tetsu hit him with a loud clang, and they weren't enough to get through his quirk. Izuku tried running in at Tetsu, knowing that they would only have a chance at taking him out by wearing out his quirk, meaning that they had to force him to use it for a prolonged period of time. As Izuku got close, he was surprised by Tetsu doing nothing except turning his body to steel and looking at Izuku right in the eyes as he spoke. "I know you aren't really working with them." Shocked by his words, Izuku stopped. "What?" Izuku stared at the steel student. "I'm working with Kirishima. I know who your real allies are. If you don't take me out right here, I'll help you." Izuku narrowed his eyes before reaching out with Black Whip, grabbing Tetsu by his wrists and ankles. "I don't know if you're telling the truth, but I doubt that we'll be able to do much damage as long as your quirk is active." Izuku turned to Todoroki and Ida. They were both in a position to attack, but neither did as Izuku had stopped. "We won't be able to take him out as long as he has his quirk active, but I captured him, so in 15 minutes he should be out anyway." He pulled Tetsu over to the other two, but before they got close he whispered to the boy that he was dragging along. "Play along, or I'll find a way to take you out, got it?" Tetsu nodded his head slightly, and Izuku loosened the restraint slightly enough that Tetsu could get out if he wanted to, but he didn't. Ida and Todoroki looked unsure about the arrangement, but Tetsu looked solidly restrained, so they didn't question it. Once they were sure that Tetsu wouldn't cause any issues, Ida and Todoroki continued walking in the direction they'd been going, but Izuku wasn't sure if that was the best plan anymore. Kamakiri had been announced to be the 28th person to be removed, meaning that there were only 12 people left. He hadn't heard announcements of any of his allies, so all of them plus the people that he was here right now with would make 8 people. There were only 4 people left that Izuku had no connection to, and he couldn't make sure that they all weren't exactly where he wanted them to be. He had already planned with Katsuki to meet in the city hall after the end of this, but with the training grounds as massive as they were, there was no way for him to ensure that he would be able to find those remaining 4 people before the teachers called time. Making up his mind, Izuku hurried to Ida and Todoroki. "Hey, have you guys completed everything you need to?" Izuku debated about using their Morse code, but he decided against it. He wasn't sure if he completely trusted Tetsu, but he didn't want to leave him completely out of the loop. "What?" Ida looked confused by his question. "Do either of you have something that you need to do still, that you can do? Is there any reason that we shouldn't try to end the exercise?" They were all standing in the middle of the street, having stopped walking when Izuku had asked the first question. "We don't know where my object is, and I did my last task during that fight, so there's nothing else I need to do," Ida replied. "Although I'm not sure how you expect us to end the exercise when we don't know where anyone is." Izuku ignored Ida's comment, and he turned to Todoroki. Noticing that he was waiting for his answer, Todoroki continued. "We were unable to find my object, and the object I need to be able to do my task, so there's nothing else I can do." Izuku felt a little bad when he realized he had both objects that Todoroki was referring to in his bag, but he pushed that aside. "We could keep wandering the training grounds aimlessly until someone finds us, or we find someone, or we could set up a fight." Izuku grinned. Ida and Todoroki both took a step away from him. Izuku had noticed, but his grin wasn't the innocent one that he usually put on around his friends. No, this grin was more similar to Katsuki's. It was predatory. After Todoroki got over Izuku's grin, he stepped forward again. "How would we do that?" "Well, first, we need to get to a good spot for it. I'm thinking Peach Court, right in front of City Hall." Izuku got right into planning. At this point, everyone has probably found the objects that they had the clues for, so they'll most likely be looking for everyone else. If we make it obvious where we are, they will attack. But what if they don't? They might still be looking for other objects as well, and they will definitely be expecting an ambush. Ida seemed completely unconvinced. "Then we just wait until they do. We could spend all afternoon running around the training grounds, but I doubt that we'll find anything else. We might as well try setting up a fight in our favor instead of waiting for someone else to," Izuku explained. Honestly, he was kind of getting bored just running around the grounds. He was ready for this to be over. "We have no better options, so Midori, lead the way." Ida chopped his arms definitively. Izuku grinned again, and he pulled Tetsu along with him. He checked the time and did his best to stop his grin from widening. "Tenya Ida has been poisoned. He is the 29th student removed." All right, everyone. This concludes Chapter 17 of Hidden Messages. Chapter 18 will be next, almost to the end of this one. Hope you guys are still enjoying, and as always, thank you so much for listening.